What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today we've got those leaders. You see, ladies and gentlemen, we've been looking at Starter Deck 10, and from all the information we knew about Starter Deck 10, it seemed pretty much confirmed at this stage that we were going to be getting 3 different leaders, and that all 3 of those leaders were going to be red-purple, and they were going to be interchangeable, and it was going to be very, very exciting. Well, ladies and gentlemen, those leaders have gone and been revealed. We do know what they are. We do know what they do. And I, for one, I'm just going to put it out there. I am extremely excited about this. Now, these images were put onto Facebook by Omar El Wash. Apologies for any mispronunciations. And the translations, I did them myself, but I did check with the translations they posted, and they matched up, so I think that's probably a good thing. Now, we do have a Luffy, and we have a Kid, and we have a Law, which is exactly what we should be expecting, incidentally. This is everything that we should have been, thinking was going to be happening. That makes sense. One thing which is also important to note here, they've got a 2. Every card we've seen up to now has had a 1 in the bottom right-hand corner. As in, like, the first block, the first run, the first whatever. Call it what you will. Here, we've gone on to number 2. And that is very, very important. As recently as OP04, have a look at Nefertari Vivi, it's my favourite leader, why not? We've had a number 1 down there. So this is basically moving into the second block, etc. And we know there isn't going to be rotation in the One Piece TCG. We've already been told that. So don't be expecting rotation at least anytime soon. But it is very important to note that it is absolutely possible that we are going to get some tournaments in the future which are only block 2 onwards and block 1 cards aren't allowed, for instance. So make no mistake about it, this is a pretty big deal. And it's weird because right now it doesn't actually mean anything. But make no mistake about it, this is a very big deal. Speaking of a big deal, let's start off with Luffy, because there are 2 things with Luffy that stand out massively right as we start. Number 1, 6,000 power. Straight off the bat, no modifiers, we've got 6,000 power. This is huge. We have seen 6,000 power before, but we have only seen it on Edward Newgate, who also had 6 life, but has that skill whereby you basically lose a life every turn. Edward Newgate has been an exception. Luffy is an exception too. This is a very big deal. And it's a dual colour. Again, we're all red and purple, we've said that. What's interesting though, 3 life. Now, we've seen before that generally dual colour leaders have 4 life. We've seen that leaders like Nefertari Vivi, who are dual colour but can't attack, can have 5 life. Here you're starting off with 3 life. 3 life is tiny, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely tiny. So this is going to be very interesting seeing how people use this, because 6,000 power is wonderful, 3 life is terrible. But then again, Edward Newgate kind of gives up its life pretty quickly and goes down to 3 life quite quickly anyway, so maybe it's not such a big deal. Now, the skill here is very, very weird. Activate main once per turn if your board has no Don, or your board has 8 or more Don, add 1 Don from your Don deck, active. Now, there is a point in the game where this skill is absolutely full-on ridiculously stunning, and that is when you've got 8 or 9 Don. Remember, there's a hard cap on 10 Don. You're not getting any more than that. If you've got exactly 8 or 9 Don, then this will give you an extra Don straight away. That is wonderful. If you have 1 to 7 Don, this skill is completely useless and doesn't do anything, and that's a bit of a problem. Now, the 0 Don is weird, because obviously you put your Don out at the start of your turn, so you never really have 0 Don. However, we're looking at purple here, yeah? This is a dual colour red and purple deck. And one of the things purple is famous for is shuffling Don back into your deck, using those skills that give you Don minus, whereby you have to shuffle Don from your field back into your Don deck in order to activate these skills. That is where Luffy comes in beautifully. Because when you shuffle your final Don back, all of a sudden you just get to put one out, and crucially, the Don goes out active, which means you can use it immediately, which is a very, very big thing. Now, moving on to EUSTASS Captain Kid here, we've got 5,000 power, 5 life, which is weird, because up to, again, we're talking about a dual color leader, and up to now, the only 5,000 power, 5 life dual color leaders we've seen are Nefertari, Vivi, and Rebecca, both of which, as previously mentioned, are notable because they can't attack. And the, I think, pretty clear assumption here is that they can't attack because they've got the extra life. Generally, dual color leaders have 4 life, these get 5 life, but at the cost of not attacking. That is not what Kid does. Kid is able to attack. However, on your turn, if you have 4 or more life, this leader gets minus 1,000 power. Generally speaking, 5,000 is what we would expect from leaders. 5,000 is what we have from Kid here. But now all of a sudden that goes down to 4,000 until you've gone down to 3 life. And the card literally says 4 or more. So if you've got 4 life, you still get the minus 1,000. This essentially is a 4,000 power leader until you go down to 3 life, at which point it becomes a 5,000 power leader again, which is weird. However, when attacking, Don -1, told you they like Don minus, this leader gains 2,000 power for the turn. So if you shuffle a Don back, in the early game when you've got 4 or more life, you'll be a 6,000 leader. But when you've got 3 or less life, you go up to a 7,000 power leader. That's really legitimately good. Bearing in mind, we see leaders like Charlotte Katakuri from OP03, who basically lets you look at and either keep or put to the bottom the top card of your opponent's life, and then gain 1,000 power. And this has seen a bunch of play because a 6,000 power leader is good. We've seen Edward Newgate, who has 6,000 power straight off the bat and is a phenomenal leader that's seen a huge amount of play because 6,000 power on a leader is good. Well, this is potentially 7,000 power on a leader. That's absurd. That's ridiculous. That is going to see some play. I can't tell you right now which of these 3 leaders is going to be the best. I don't know. But I am telling you, and to be fair, Charlotte Katakuri is not just a 6,000 power, it's also the fact that you are manipulating the top card of your opponent's life. That's pretty good. But I absolutely am telling you that the fact that you can pretty quickly become a 7,000 power leader here, like there are going to be games you'll give up your first 2 life. Because you get a couple of extra cards in your hand, maybe some triggers activate, but then you're sitting there as a 7,000 power leader most turns if you're willing to Don -1. Yeah, I don't know about you, ladies and gentlemen, I think that might be pretty good. We've then got Trafalgar Law, who is a far more standard 5,000 power, 4 life, dual colour leader, exactly as we might expect. And what we've got here is Don -3, obviously activate main once per turn. Return one of your opponent's characters of 3,000 power or less to the bottom of their deck, and then play a 4 cost or lower character from your hand. Now, bearing in mind, yes, you are playing a 4 cost character for free, but you are shuffling 3 Don back to do so. Which, to be fair, can be rested Don, so you can use them and then shuffle them back. But don't think this is actually playing a 4 cost card for free. This is not really playing a 4 cost card for free. I think that's pretty important to point out. Still pretty cool, though. You get to play a 4 cost character, red or purple. Obviously, it's got to match the colour of your leader. And you get rid of a 3,000 power or less character. Bearing in mind, if you can lower their power and then do this, you can get a much more powerful character. And honestly, this kind of has shades of the other law. This is giving me flashbacks to Romance Dawn Law, who, of course, also let you play characters. And I kind of love that. That honestly makes me pretty gosh darn happy. Law from Romance Dawn is the one whereby once per turn you can pay 2, and if you control 5 characters, you put a character to your hand and then play a 5 cost or lower character of the other colour, red or green. So you play kind of a 1-cost support character in the early game and then swap it for a much more expensive character later on for the cost of 2. Works out pretty well. Law has seen a whole bunch of play. People like Law. So I like this one as well. And here's the thing. I don't think any of these are obviously terrible. And I don't think any of these are obviously game-breaking. Luffy getting extra Don is awesome, but starting off on free life is not ideal. Kid being potentially a 7,000 power leader is great, but the fact that you're starting off as a 4,000 power leader is really not ideal by any stretch of the imagination. And then Law's got that really good skill, but the Don -3 is quite a big downside. I think they've all got potential here. I don't think any of them are obviously game-breaking, but we're going to need to see the rest of the deck. And that is something I really do need to point out here before we finish this video. This is going to be a proper deck that you can flick the free leaders in and out. Now, I already have reservations about how well it's going to fit any one leader if it's trying to fit all 3 of them. We can worry about that later. But basically, this is going to be a full 50-card deck of brand new cards, and then you've got those 3 leaders. So, I'm telling you what they do, and I'm telling you what I think about them now. Please, please, please do remember that things are going to change when we see the rest of the deck. Please bear that in mind. For now, ladies and gentlemen, I want to know what you think about these 3. I want to know which one's your favourite. I want to know anything you want to tell me. So let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at @TheWasi. That's where we talk about One Piece and a bunch of other card games. And please do consider checking out patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can support the channel, get some bonus podcasts, join a Discord, all kinds of fun things. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wasi Plays.